Hey, welcome to another episode of Tales from the Crate. Thank you for being here. We're going to do 5x5 again today. I'm going to do 5 autographed albums I have and 5 box sets that I'm into. I apologize for not having a video last week. It was Easter. I record on Sundays, and I thought I might even have time to record Saturday, and I didn't, and then Sunday just got away from us, and so no video. And unfortunately, there's not going to be a video next week either. Next Saturday's RSD, which I'm excited for, but I actually have to go out of town for work, so I'm not going to be able to go anywhere for RSD. And I'm out of town. I won't be able to record. So it'll be the week after before a new video comes up. And I apologize for that. I'll get it up when I can. I think I'll be able to get some RSD stuff. I got buddies that are going out. I've given them a list. So hopefully I will have some cool RSD stuff to show you. But let's kick it off with autographed albums. So let me start. I'm going to lean over here. Excuse me. Let me start with the ones that actually kicked this off for me. So recently I ordered some records directly from an artist site. So a tip I have for you is when you see things from an artist who's a current artist and they're getting kind of expensive, like on Discogs, people are asking ridiculous prices, go to their website and just see if they have them for sale. Their Bandcamp, their website. More than once, Charlie Crockett's a good example. His first few albums, first 2 at least on Discogs, people were asking like $80, $100. You can get them directly from his website for like $20, $25. I mean, whatever MSRP is. And so I did this with this artist. I really like Kendra Morris. I bought her Coal Mine debut, really liked it, bought Babel that came out after it. I thought, man, I'd like to check out those first 2 albums. And people are just asking ridiculous prices. So I got on her website, and she had some for sale, and I thought they were actually pretty reasonable. One was a little higher than the other, but comparatively for what I saw, good deal. And so I ordered them. And they didn't ship, and she messaged, I mean, I don't know if it was her or somebody from her team signed her, but she messaged and just said, hey, like, I'm on tour. I thought I could get them out before I left, and I'm really sorry. I'll get them out beginning of April for you, and I'll do something special. And I said, yeah, cool, whatever, thank you very much. And so I received them, and she autographed both of them, which is really cool. So this is Kendra Morris. This is her album, Banshee, and this is her, I think this is the first, and this is the second, if I'm remembering correctly, and this is Mockingbird. So she signed both. She even sent a 45. It was really cool of her to do. I was very stoked to get them. Kendra Morris being kind of a modern day soul singer, neo soul. I really dig her voice. I like what she's doing. So those are 2 autographed albums I own. I'll give you a little taste of Kendra Morris. So the next autographed album I'm going to show is actually an artist I met, and they signed in person, and I went and saw the Meat Puppets, and I am a Meat Puppets fan. I don't know that I've bought anything they've done in a while, though I will say their concert was really good. And I have Meat Puppets 1, 2, Too High to Die, Huevos, a few other things, a few Meat Puppets albums. So I took the records out, and I took the sleeves down with me to the venue, and I thought, okay, I'll just carry them around. If the opportunity arises, I'll ask, I'll do that. So they, did the show and everything. And afterwards, Kurtwood was outside smoking a cigarette, and I walked up to him and I said, hey, I'm a really big fan. Do you mind signing these? And I will say not the most personable guy. He basically stuck out his hand, didn't say a word to me. I handed him the Sharpie, and he kind of looked away and signed the albums. But he signed them, and that was nice of him to do. I wish he'd been a little cooler, but Kurtwood of Meat Puppets. So I think this is the coolest one I got signed. I have an original Meat Puppets 1 that got signed. The Meat Puppets 2 I got is a repress, and I found an original afterwards, and I bought it because I'm a sucker, but now I got to keep both. And so Kurtwood, I'm going to give you a little taste of the Meat Puppets.
the wall to the floor, and only an outline still remains.
All right, so this is another internet story now. I try to buy records from locally, and then I'll kind of go online and do eBay, Discogs. Sometimes for new stuff, I'll admit it, I do Amazon, and it's just a convenience thing. It's not my favorite. I actually have had a lot of issues with Amazon orders in the last year, and I'm contemplating canceling my Prime. But a band that I'm really into is Endless Boogie. If you've watched any before the channel one way, I talked about Endless Boogie a lot. One of my favorite bands. I buy everything they do, and they have main releases on no quarter, 4 or 5 of them at this point, and then there's all these kind of little one-off, oh, we're going to do a limited run of EPs, or we'll do this, and tracking those down and staying on top of them is difficult because I don't think they're as readily available. And so this was what I was looking for, and this is a Matinicus, I guess that's how you say it, I'm not sure. And it's a hand stamp cover and everything, and there was one online on eBay for a good price again, so I pulled the trigger, and again, it didn't ship. And it didn't ship, and it didn't ship. And so 5, 6, 7 days later, I contact the account, and I said, hey, just curious, you want to give me a shipping estimate? You know, when do you think of it? And he said, hey, I'm really sorry, man. We've been in the studio recording the new album, and I just haven't got the chance. I promise I'll get out in the next few days. And I said, are you in the band? And he said, oh, yeah, it's Paul Major. It's Top Dollar. I mean, so it is. It's the lead singer, and he's also a high-end, or kind of a high-end, but also kind of outsider record collector and record dealer, which I knew. I just didn't know that this was his eBay account. And so he said, I'll make it up to you. And he said, you know, anything I can do? And I said, if you just sign it, I'd be pretty cool with that. And so he did on the back. He even wrote a little thing. Hey, Andrew, thanks for rocking the boogie. Hope to see you next time we get out west. Paul, aka Top Dollar. That's what he goes by in the band. So that was super cool. I was going to buy it anyways, and so to have him sign it and being able to buy it directly from him was kind of one of those cool experiences. So I'll give you a little taste of Endless Boogie.
In the backyard, we're gonna have some party time, don't you know? We're gonna get down real fine. Yes, we are.
All right, another one was another artist I met directly, and I've actually met him 3 times, and he's been super cool every time I've met him. And I'm not like a cool dude. Like, I'm a nerd at a show. You know, he's not winning any bonus points talking to me. I'm a nerd. But he's been so nice every time I've met him. So it's Ty Segall. So I've seen Ty Segall live in a venue here locally. He played a fest here locally with Fuzz. So I saw him twice at the venue and once with Fuzz. I did not take records for him to sign the first time. And I actually didn't take him to sign the second time either, but he actually had merch. And this had just come out. And it was a compilation on Goner Records of his singles, volume 1 and 2. Or I don't think it's volume 1 and 2. It's 2007 to 2010. These were all his singles compiled. I actually really appreciate that that Ty Segall does this, because again, I hate tracking down all the 45s. And I went over to him and I said, hey man, big fan, would you just mind signing? And he said, yeah. And he so he signed it. It's hard to read up here, and then he drew a face on himself, which I always thought was funny, little devil horns. Super nice about it. Had small talk with me, talked about and just asked me how I was doing, where I was from, and then went on and put on a hell of a show. I mean, an amazing show live. And honestly, when we saw him with Fuzz too, it was at a fest, and so I wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to take a bunch of records to this all-day music fest, but he threw out a drumstick, and my buddy caught it, actually. My buddy said, hey, I'm not like the fan you are. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And we hung around, and I was able to find him, and I said, you mind signing it? And so he actually signed one of his drumsticks too. So kind of another cool, just Ty Segall thing, but I'll give you a little taste of Ty Segall here. last one here, if you have watched my channel at all, I have told this story many times before because definitely one of the coolest moments of my life. And so I've shared this story, and it's kind of cool. And I'm not even going to show everything I got autographed. I'll show you two, just because it's what I pulled down real quick. I used to own a record store. The record store I owned was down the street from kind of a local music venue, wine bar music venue thing. And, we sold tickets for them, and we'd all listen. And honestly, people would come in, like King Tuff came in. I met the band Girls that way. I met Tennis that way. They were super nice. They would just come in and buy records, and it was cool deal. And so the Chris Robinson Brotherhood, who I'm a really big fan of, I'm a huge Black Crowes fan, actually. But Chris Robinson Brotherhood was coming through the area I live, and I live between LA and San Francisco. So it's about not exact science, but about 3 hours each way. And so we'll get kind of midweek shows, like a Wednesday, like I'm playing San Francisco this weekend, I'm playing LA the next weekend, we're going to stop in between in some town and do this, and we get those. But Chris Robinson Brotherhood was doing a residency. They were doing 3 nights, but each night was a month apart. So it was like, I think, April, May, June, I think, if I'm correct. I mean, it might have been April, or it might have been it might have been March, April, May. I don't remember anymore. Excuse me. I can't keep it up. It's been years. It's been over 10 years. So they hadn't even released an album yet. They were kind of touring and just getting their bearings. And the first time they came through, we went and saw them. It was a packed house, actually, but I think people expected the Black Crowes. The audience was kind of a bunch of jerks. Guy actually got into a fight with a dude in a wheelchair, which was pretty weird. It was a weird night. But they had come into the store, and they had shopped around, and they contacted the guy that put on the shows and said, hey, we'd really like I had a partner there. We'd really like the people from Valoria to DJ for us, the record store to DJ for us. And so we DJ'd their next 2 shows, before and after. And so the middle show, the second show, I brought down a crate of records. We set up turntables, having a good time, playing records. And before the show, and not really knowing what to expect after, and after, the guys in the band hung out with us till like 2 or 3 a.m., had a good time, played records, talked. It was super cool. And I asked Chris Robinson, who I'm a huge fan of, to say, hey, like, I brought some Black Crowes albums. Do you mind signing them? He was like, yeah, no problem. So I have an original, the first Black Crowes album. He signed that. It was super cool. This hadn't been out that long, and so this is an original Crowology, and he signed that. He signed my Southern Music and Harmony. The second album, I don't know, he signed some for my partner, too. I don't remember. But he was super cool about it, hung out. It was a very surreal experience in my life, because I've been listening to Black Crowes a long time, and to be able to hang out. Neil Casal, who was the guitar player and unfortunately left us a few years ago, actually came into the shop, I think, before the 3rd show. We were kind of hanging out talking, and he left, and he came back and he said, hey, man, I think I left my phone somewhere in one of the racks. Can we call it? So I pull up my phone, and I called it. We found his phone, and he was on his way. And I had this moment where I looked at my phone and I thought, do I keep Neil Gasal's phone number, knowing I can never call it? Like, what am I? Hey, remember, I'm the creepy dude. And so ultimately I didn't. But that's my Black Crowes or Chris Robinson Brotherhood story. Huge fan of it. So I'll give you a little taste of the Black Crowes, and then I'll lead this into our box set conversation. So thinking about Chris Robinson and the Chris Robinson Brotherhood actually got me thinking about box sets or multi-disc sets, and I'm going actual true box sets on this today. And I have been buying some more box sets than I normally do. And so the reason it got me thinking about it is I think box sets kind of come in 3 varieties, or a mix of the 3. You get like the, hey, you can buy every album we ever did for this price, and it's all here in this set. So you get like the kind of discography set, or the greatest hits set, the cherry picked number set. So that's one kind of box set you get. The second kind of box set you get is live box sets. So we're going to put out a bunch of live stuff. And generally not my favorite, with some exceptions. Like, I like Grateful Dead live stuff because it's different than the studio stuff. So I'd buy a Grateful Dead live box set. I don't generally track those down just because there's too many and it's a rabbit hole that I don't know that I can pull myself out of. But Chris Robinson Brotherhood falls in that. I own the 4 Betty's blends that have come out over the years, and it's because it's live stuff, but it's different than the studio, you know, and I have some connection to it. And then you get what is like the demos and B-sides box set. Now that's actually where I'm most interested. I love hearing kind of the background on how an album is put together. You probably can see it back here. I have the Stooges Funhouse box set right there because I do want to hear 37 takes of Loose and how that evolved and why this take was used and why this one wasn't, and slight differences in the lyrics and the guitar things. And so that's really where my money is for box sets. Now, with that said, of course, I buy different kinds of box sets, but I'm just going to show you 5 box sets that I really enjoy. I'm going to lean forward here. Excuse me. I should have pulled this while I had the camera stopped. So my first one I'm going to show you, it was an RSD box set. And I had a little bit of a story behind it. And this is Sunshine Boy by Townes Van Zandt. I'm a huge Townes Van Zandt song. I think he's one of the greatest songwriters of our time. His music really hits me. And so this was coming out, and it had come out on CD already, but this was coming out on RSD a few years ago. And they're demos from around the time, or demos, or demos, or kind of alternative versions. I think you get Poncho and Lefty without the strings. From around the time of like the late great Townes Van Zandt and High, Low, and In Between, which are my 2 favorite Townes Van Zandt albums. So I was really stoked to get this. And you get some great songs on here. His version of T for Texas. You get a song Sunshine Boy. You get studio versions of Dead Flowers, and the versions you hear are actually live versions most of the time that he did of the Stone song Dead Flowers. But you actually get the studio versions here, which I really like. Like I said, you get Poncho and Lefty without the strings and horns. You get demos of like To Learn Is to Fly. So this was high on my radar, and I was out of town that RSD. I hate being out of town on RSD, as I mentioned earlier in the video. And so I found a record store, and I found one, and I bought it. And I mean, I was late. I was surprised it was still there. And I took it home with me, protected it the whole way home. I got home, ripped it open, and one of the discs had a manufacturing defect, like a big gouge in it that huge skips and pops. And I was devastated. I was like heartbroken. And Omnivore, the company that put it out, I emailed them and I said, hey, I don't know what to do about this, and I don't know if you can help me, but I bought this. Disc 2 is just got this huge gouge. I just want to buy a disc 2. Like, I want a complete set. I bought it out of town. I can't go back to the record store. And they said, hey, man, no problem. We'll send you a disc 2. Just send us back the defective one. I was like, cool. So they sent me a disc 2. I sent back the defective one, and all was good. And I got a nice complete set. So it was a super cool company, by the way, to do that. Like, they have made me a customer for life, Omnivore, and I will buy Omnivore stuff now because of that. But just that kind of B-side stuff. So I'll give you a taste of Townes Van Zandt.
Now when you're sitting there in your silk upholstered chair, talking to some rich folks that you know, well, I hope you don't see me in my ragged company, but you know I could never be alone.
All right, so this is actually another new one for me. I recently picked this up, just came out. This falls into that, hey, we're going to do like all the discography or greatest hits in this case. So this is the greatest hits, but done as a box set, and it's Dead Moon. I'm a big Dead Moon fan. I have, and this is why it's ridiculous that I even bought this. I have all the Dead Moon reissues they've put out, and they've put out 9/10 of the albums. They hope they're doing the last few, but then I'm a sucker for the box set. So this is the same as Echoes from the Past. If you ever saw the Sub Pop greatest hits they put out, the cover's different, but this is the same as that. So it's a 4-disc vinyl set of kind of their greatest hits. I will say, I'll open it up here and show you some of the stuff. You get like a tote bag here, which is super cool. Dead Moon tote bag, which I'll never use because it's part of a box set, and I'm uptight like that. What can I say? Sorry, you're getting a close-up of my head right now. You also get a slip mat and then some kind of random stickers and patches Down here, there's some buttons, all stuff I'm going to keep with the box set because that's part of what makes the box set. But I'm a huge Dead Moon fan, and I thought this was just kind of a cool opportunity. So I was happy to get it, though, again, I know I'm a sucker because I own all this stuff. So I'll give you a little taste of a Dead Moon.
It's a mean game, causing pain, you know I got you on my brain. It's the kind of hell you never know, girls like you just turn me cold. But I guess you found my weaker side, resistance, God, how I tried. But I got it bad, I must confess, to tell the truth, I've done my best.
All right, so next up is a pretty massive box set, and it's one that isn't that old, and I think people are probably pretty familiar with. I was very lucky. I've been, I'm 40. I know I look worse than 40, but I'm 40. I started buying records as a teenager, 1990s, because they were cheap, and a local store of mine was buying collections and pushing out records for $2, $3, $4 at a time. So I started that way. I just bought a bunch of stuff. I mean, when I finally kind of organized and got through my collection, I had, tons of Rolling Stone stuff, duplicates, just because it's $2, I pick it up. So I kind of kept the best ones, and I started trading out and selling the others. And it worked for me. But as a byproduct of that, I also started buying some random kind of new stuff when it came out at that time period. And one of the things I purchased new, and I paid $20 for it, I'll never forget, is Tom Petty's Wildflowers. I bought an original Tom Petty's Wildflowers, $20. I was happy to get it. And so when the reissue came out, I was like, well, do I buy a reissue? I mean, I already have it. But then you get this massive box set, and I could not say no to this. And this, I think, is a little bit more in the... Well, it's a little bit of a combination. I consider this a little bit more of like a B-sides kind of box set. You do get the Wildflowers album, which is one of my favorite Tom Petty albums. Came out in, I think, 94 or so. I was listening to I think it was my freshman year of high school. I listened to a lot, all the cool kids in 94 listening to Tom Petty. Then you got All the Rest, which is the disc 3, which is sides 5 and 6. And that's kind of the songs they recorded that weren't released. You get home recordings on... side 7, 8, 9, and 10, so 2 disc worth kind of a demos, and then you get live stuff from Wildflowers, and honestly, not even all of it appears on Wildflowers. Some of it's kind of other stuff like Girl on LSD, but I couldn't pass this up, so I bought this, and I'm a big Tom Petty fan, particularly this album. I'm one of those weirdos. I actually really like solo Tom. I like all of it, but I like solo Tom Petty stuff a lot, and so this was a good fit for me. And so box set I really enjoyed, Tom Petty's Wildflowers.
I was in love with a girl on marijuana. She said if I'm not stoned I don't wanna. But she got so paranoid, her place I would avoid. I was in love with a girl on marijuana.
All right, I'm going to give you another B-sides box set, and this was another pickup from the last year or so, and I was very happy when this was announced, and that's PJ Harvey. This is her B-sides box set. B-sides, demos, and rarities, so that's kind of where it falls in. I am, again, a big PJ Harvey fan. I had some bootleg pressings of her albums that I picked up over the years, but I was really, really stoked when they did an official run of her albums in the last few years, and each album they put out was paired with like a demos album of that album. So you bought Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea, you could buy the album, and then you could buy the demos version of that album. I bought both because I'm a sucker. And I didn't think the demos albums were even all that different most of the time. But they were cool. You got a little raw energy, a little stripped down. And so when they put out this, or advertised this B-sides, demos, and rarities, I thought, man, what has she not put out yet? It wasn't the demos that attracted me because I had got those, but it was really the B-sides and the rarities. The B-sides really is what I was interested in. I have and I'm pretty sure it's bootleg in all transparency, I have a CD box set somewhere of PJ Harvey B-sides, and I really like it. And so I was stoked to see this, and I was a little apprehensive, but I think it was really well done. And they really did mine the tracks here, mine the vaults or whatever it is to find good stuff. So, I mean, you do get some demos again, dry demo, man-sized demo. You get Highway 61 revisited demo. I think Me Jane on here is even a B-side of hers, and you get a demo of a B-side, and it's pretty stripped down, which is super cool. You get one of my favorite songs, which is One Time Too Many, which was on the Batman Forever soundtrack, and it's one of my favorite BJ Harvey songs, so I was stoked to get that. You get, and then it takes you all the way through her career. You get her doing a version of Red Right Hand, the Nick Cave song. So just a super cool box set. Was really stoked to be able to get it. So PJ Harvey box set. I'm going to share with you my last box set acquisition. This is my newest box set. It literally just came in the mail on Friday. I did have to order it, and this is the Flaming Lips Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots 25th anniversary. I am a huge Flaming Lips fan. Over here, you can't see off that screen that way, I own every Flaming Lips albums, and I've purchased all their RSD stuff, and they've put out a lot of RSD stuff, and I just keep buying it. I love the Flaming Lips. I love the different periods of their career. Even the albums that people are like, I like them. I think they're weirdos, but they make interesting, good music. I'm in. Like, there's no selling point for me on the Flaming Lips because I'm in. And Yoshimi is one of their, I would say, bigger albums, right? Like one of their more landmark albums that people are familiar with. And so this is 25th anniversary edition. It's 5 LPs. You get the album, and the cover is different on that. Then you get an album of demos. You get kind of non-LP tracks, which are kind of cool. Actually, they do a version of the White Stripes Seven Nation Army, which is kind of cool, if that makes sense. And then you get 2 discs of radio sessions. And the radio sessions are like live on the BBC, live on different radio shows. I was hoping kind of, and it didn't really happen, but I believe this is the tour where they went on Beck, and he was doing Sea Change, and I thought they had done some radio stuff with Beck and Sea Change, and even played some of those songs. It was his backing band, and I was hoping we would get some of that, but I guess that's probably more of a Beck thing than a Flaming Lips thing, so I didn't get that. But very stoked to have this. It's nicely done. I am a little hit and miss with Warner and Warner Brothers and their box sets. I've purchased a few that, I don't know. I've had some issues, and I've gotten through it all. But this one came out pretty nice and is well done. And it keeps stylistically the box sets they did for Record Store Day, where they were kind of listing them back there. And I like that there's some continuity between this and the Record Store Day box sets. Someone put some thought into it, I think, is what I'm getting at. So Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots 25th anniversary edition, worth picking up. That is my last box set. I'll give you a little taste of the Flaming Lips.
I'm gonna
and that's it. I appreciate you hanging out. I really do. Anyone that made it through the video, means a lot to me. I appreciate the comments and the thumbs up and the likes or whatever they are. It does mean a lot. It keeps you going. I appreciate kind words from people out there. I've gotten some shout outs in some videos, and I really appreciate that. So, thank you for making it. Remember, I do a radio show on KBSR, Black Sparrow Digital Radio, every Saturday and Sunday, 2 Central, noon Pacific. You can figure out your time zone if you're somewhere else. But worth checking out. Put some effort, put a lot of effort into that. And there's a link tree in the description section. You can find how to download the app and stuff there. So I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks.